Welcome to the Freedom Founder Podcast. I'm your host, Zach Duggar. Now, you've heard of successful serial entrepreneurs. Let me tell you, they are visionaries. They can recognize opportunities and then they educate themselves about an industry and or surround themselves with a skilled team to implement their vision. Now, that's a quote I found in Forbes magazine, and I really feel like it embodies my guest today. Jon Frantz started back in college, after college, 2012, buying his first rental property. Had to sell his car to do so, but made it work. So from there, he slowly continued to buy properties. And around 2017, he began his journey into the area of startups and existing businesses. Today, he's the co-owner or partner of 5 different businesses and is working on 2 more in the current process. These are in different fields, different industries, but he's found he enjoys the learning process that you have to put yourself through to understand the different components of operations, profitability, stabilization of a business. Now, he's created a network of partnerships that make this possible, that have allowed him to extend resources and experiences to other areas in this journey of entrepreneurship. Now, on top of that, Jon's a new dad, but he's still making it work. So thank you, Jon, for joining us.
Thanks, Zach. Thanks for having me. Yeah, it's been a journey.
Absolutely. Now, the name Frantz Constellations, I wanted to just start by asking you about that. Could you share with us what that name means to you and where you see that going over time?
Yeah, it took me a while, but I dabbled with names, long story short,
Sure.
and that kind of just stuck with me because the partners I have, it's an array of different partners, personalities, and
Yeah.
industries that I'm in. So that came to fruition of constellations. It's an array of
Yeah.
things. So yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. I think it's like when you look up at the sky and you see somebody can see the different points at which the stars align to form a constellation. And that it does also relate to that visionary of an entrepreneur, and especially someone who sees multiple different opportunities and the possibilities that they contain. So,
Exactly. No,
yeah,
I would say coming up with a name is always a fun part, but when you figure it out and it clicks to you stick with it. So
I think you've gotten a great name for what you're doing today. So let's just go back though a little bit further. So back 2012, you got out of college, you're working in a warehouse. Did you have aspirations of becoming an entrepreneur? Or where was your mindset at that point
yeah,
in your life?
yeah. So I actually rewind a little bit. I did Cutco back in the day, Cutco knife
Okay.
sales for
Yep.
about 5 years before that
Yep.
during college, and
Okay.
so between that, which was commission based, and doing college, one day I realized, I can't keep chasing my tail for a check, but I've always had this dying desire to do something of my own.
Yeah.
But I also understood I had to pay bills.
Yep.
So, I accepted
Hmm.
that. And I started with Spectrum Health,
Yeah.
a little bit after Cutco days. And eventually I was like, I'm going to read Rich Dad, Poor Dad.
Okay.
And that was the book that got me started with my mindset of what I do today. But yeah, I had when I found this 3 unit in West Michigan in Grand Rapids here,
Yep.
um, it was a weird time because everything was such a lower price than what we're used to right now.
Right.
Um, and I remember that day very well because it took me 6 months to close on that 3 unit, which is a long time. Even my
Right.
lender was asking me if I knew what I was doing. No.
Yep.
Told me I had to sell my car, and I said, well, how's that going to work? Because I need to go to work. But you figure
Right.
out what you got to do, and you do what you have to do to make things happen. So luckily, my parents were awesome enough to let me borrow a car out temporarily and
Yep.
figure those journeys out. But eventually closed on it, and from there, I just kept buying just one property a year
Yep.
of what I could do on a part time, almost full time uh, pay.
Yep.
But that's where it taught me a lot. I self managed my properties for 2 years.
Yep.
Um, And I can admit I'm not a handy person at all. But my dad one day threw the paper at me and said, "Hey, look, here's a property management job. You like real estate? You should probably learn more of the ins of what you're doing." So in
Yeah.
2014 is when I started my journey in a property management field on a nine to
Okay.
five job.
Yep.
So yeah,
Okay. So you found that even though you didn't really know much about real estate and real estate investment, and you saw that opportunity, you were reading a book that was talking about your mindset and investing in yourself, but also investing in assets. So you had to figure out how this whole process worked, even when people were telling you or even asking you, do you know what you're doing?
right.
Like the lender that you were working with. But
And that's the fun part, though, is
yeah,
no one knows all the time of what they're doing, but
yeah,
that's what you do is you make mistakes and you learn from them. So
yeah, yeah, absolutely. What I've seen, though, is some people have a fear of making mistakes and being willing to step into an area that's unfamiliar.
yeah,
What do you find has helped you be able to take on things that are unfamiliar and learn new information to make it so you can be successful in those areas?
yeah. The main thing for me is just being open minded.
Okay.
Um, I think it's easier said than done because you have a lot of variables, like you said, that kind of come in place. You get, your friends and family of influence that can
Hmm.
change your mind, but being open minded and being able to learn new things is easier said than done.
Yeah.
Because you're making failures, and if it's your dollar and your time,
Yep.
you're trying to be precious with that. But that's the main thing is being open minded for me.
Yeah. Okay. So being open-minded, being willing to
Take
consider,
some risk as
yeah,
well.
take some risks, consider the
Yeah,
opportunities. I mean, you could have easily told your dad, "Nah, I don't really want to explore that. I can do so. I'll figure it out. I'll read some more books."
right.
When he threw the paper at you, but yet you took that as a good opportunity to
Yeah.
learn and grow about the area of property management and develop some skills in that area. And is that a job that you then continued to work for quite some time, or where did things progress from there?
Yeah, I stayed there for
Mhm.
about 7, 8 years. I
Okay.
actually left that job December of 21,
Okay.
and it was a great company to work for. I learned a ton.
Yeah.
Leasing to accounting to maintenance stuff, how to deal with tenants, core
Right.
process, the whole 9 yards of property management. And I was a property manager for about 4 years of those 8 years, and
Right.
I couldn't train that at all, at
Hmm.
whatsoever. So I kept buying properties throughout that time.
Yep.
And then 2017 is when like you mentioned, I kind of started dabbling with
Yep.
a journey, if you want to call
Right.
it.
Yes. A new direction in the stars, let's say. So
Yep.
talk about what that started out like, because I mean, you had been in the area of real estate investment, now working for a property management company, learning that skill set, but still had that desire, that inkling on the inside for something else as well. So you started to look and pursue and consider what brought you to that first opportunity around 2017.
Well, it started with a failed startup, actually.
Okay.
Me and a few friends, we were trying to do this image consulting business called Styler in
Yeah.
2017, and we worked on it for a couple of years actually.
Yep.
But that was the learning part. Was I was quiet. I didn't know to speak up your opinion. When
Yeah.
you're a partner and an owner, you have to speak your mind. Um, and some conversations can be tough.
Yeah.
But I luckily from that startup, even though it didn't work out, I was still friends with all of them. But one of the partners, I actually became. He came to me and said, "Hey, I want to open a salon
Yep.
in this area." And I told him I don't know anything about hair,
Yep.
except I need a haircut every 30 days. And he laughed
Yep.
at that, but he said I don't need that help of running it. I need the help of fundraising and doing the back end of the legal part of it and the financial and the accounting and all the other moving parts that a lot of people forget about a business.
Right.
And so that's where my journey started. And not even knowing that that would become what I do today still.
Right. Yeah. And do you still get your hair cut every 30 days?
I do. Yep. At the same salon. We actually just expanded it last summer.
Okay.
Um, so it's been a fun time.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So you expanded the salon, but also continued to look at new development opportunities. I know from being there myself that within that same space, you had the opportunity to look at, well, what could we do with this additional space we now have, because you had
Yep.
purchased that portion of the building. So what did you end up doing with that space? And it's so different than hair or salon work. So
It
tell me about
is
that.
much different than hair.
Yeah.
So we made it into, just to start with, it's sip coffee and cocktails.
Hmm.
Coffee by day, drinks by night, but we are now doing drinks during the day. And that started when, because we were renting our space for a while.
Yep.
But in early 21, after, a rough year of COVID, the owners were like, "Hey, we're going to sell," and they approached us first, which we were
Yeah.
very grateful for. But
Yeah.
that was another learning curve. Was we were like, "Well, we don't have the capital," but
Right.
we found some friends that were very interested, and we made it happen. But like you said, we were like, "Well, what do we do with this space?" And it
Yeah.
used to be an old Metro Health
Hmm.
office space, and that was our first learning experience with construction renovations.
Okay.
Um, and I learned a lot through that process of how much detail goes into it, but also getting a liquor license that took a long time,
Hmm.
and
Yep.
that's just part of the process. So again, you're learning every step of the way.
All right. So those that work at night can come and get a drink during the day now, even not
Yeah,
just a coffee drink. So, okay. Well, that's an excellent adventure as well. It's a continued learning process as you are just, it's in this first year now, right?
yeah, yep. We
Yep.
opened
Okay.
last October
Yep.
26th for the coffee side, and then we did get our liquor license around December. So we then did a grand opening for the whole thing. And so it's been about, I mean, if you want to say 2 to 4 months around
Yeah.
there,
Yep.
it's been great. A ton of feedback, and you always have your struggles with a startup, but um, I could have asked for a different beginning.
Yeah. No, absolutely. So that combines that space. So you have the salon, you have sip coffee and cocktails. And along the way, you've also encountered other people with other interests, and those conversations have piqued your interest, and you've then developed relationships to the extent that you're involved with some other businesses. So, talk about another business that you're involved with.
Yeah. So and the rewind really quick is,
Yeah,
partnerships to me is super valuable.
yeah,
But it can be hard because you got to find the people you trust, that you like, that you can work with. And I have found a great group of people that I can work with. So
yep,
it's not just me, that's for sure. I always, highly value who I'm working with. But I also have a janitorial cleaning company
yep,
that actually during my day job back in the day around 2019,
hmm,
um, my cleaners for the hallways at an
yep,
apartment complex I managed, they were looking for some help. So we always chatted about business, and they brought me on and one of my friends they brought on
yep,
to revamp the company. And that's what I'm learning with a lot of businesses is there's just so many moving parts that not one person or two people can just do.
yeah,
It takes a team sometimes. So,
right,
uh, yeah, I'm a part of a cleaning company, and then I also became a partner last year with a moving company. Casey Moore, he's the main partner of that, and he's young, ambitious, and he knows what he's doing. He's built this thing from the
yep,
ground up in less than a year almost. So
right,
kudos to him. And that's the thing is you're looking for people that you can work with, and that can go in a long rabbit hole of ways of talking about that.
hmm,
Um, and then another one is a construction company. So I recently became a partner with JA Companies, where we focus on smaller commercial projects.
Yep.
They actually started this whole thing when they started buying real estate in 2010. So kind of the same
Yep.
journey I went through of figuring things out. And they've done a lot of flips with houses, buy hold, renovations. And so we actually just closed down their property management company last year.
Right.
More of a vertical, horizontal move of now we focus on construction. And
Okay.
we see a giant demand. And obviously there's a
Yep.
giant housing demand in Grand Rapids still. So it's been fun. I'm learning a lot about it.
Yeah. So partnership, like you mentioned, is a key factor in this and developing that trust in relationships with people that
Yeah.
you can work in collaboration with. I think you said it early on with the first foray into a business and Styler that you were learning that how to work in collaboration with one another. Maybe you didn't speak up with some, but out of that, there's a person that you continued in business together with Urban Johnny's and then Sip Coffee and Cocktail, and you continue to expand those relationships and develop those networks. I think that's an impressive part of being a serial entrepreneur is someone who's open to take those risks, but also willing to take those in collaboration with people that they've grown to trust and know they can collaborate with. I think that's a key fact you have developed in your skill set there, John.
And it goes back quick too of being open minded. Like I said
Yeah,
before, is if you aren't, your blinders are on, and so you're
yeah,
not taking in to what everybody else is saying, and you have to listen to everybody. Doesn't mean you have to
yeah,
do what they're saying, but it's good to listen to what everyone's opinion is.
yeah, absolutely. And you also, as part of France Constellations, do some business consulting as well. So you're able to not just come alongside people and become a co-owner or partner in a business, but you'll help individuals or groups that are working on their own business venture, or maybe they're getting stuck at some points and do provide some consultation, correct?
Yeah. Yep. And you find people that are doing things like freelancing to
Yep.
they already have a storefront. So I'm actually working with an individual right now. She always wanted to have something in the fitness industry,
Yeah.
and we talked about startups, and she started to understand too how much energy and time it takes. But that's part of it, and we actually got to the point of let's start looking for one for sale.
Yeah.
Um, and we actually are going to be closing, I believe, the end of this month here on a F45 gym in Hudsonville.
Okay.
And she's super ecstatic. She's got a good
Yeah.
model in place. She's got a good idea. It's a franchise, so she doesn't
Yep.
really have to rebuild it. Yep.
Yeah, that's very exciting to be able to help people align the stars that they are looking for in their own interests and their own ventures as well. So, I mean, that's what I really like about you is that it's not just about you and building your empire or your your personal amass of wealth. It's creating opportunities, not just for yourself, but also with other people and for
Right.
other people. I think that's a great example that you just described. Someone who's always wanted to be a business owner in the fitness industry, to be able to come alongside and help that person to achieve that goal, that's a dream come true.
It is, and that's the thing. You can't be. You can definitely do things on your own,
Yep.
but having those relationships, one, it's nice. It's fun when you're a team.
Yeah.
It's better. You can celebrate with the other people
Yeah.
besides
Yeah.
yourself. So, absolutely.
Yes. Yeah. You can come alongside. You can share, collaborate, share in the joys and the challenges. You don't carry the full burden on yourself. So, way to go with that. I think that's an impressive work that you've started and continue to build upon. So I do want to make sure I ask a question that I ask all of my guests is that if you were to be handed $1 million today, what would you do with it and why?
So
No
I
strings
actually,
attached.
yeah, I'll say something else really quick. I kind of live
Yeah.
by this thing of if somebody said that, like, I'll give you $1 million tomorrow, would you take it? I'd say yes. But if somebody said, I'll give you 10 million, but you can't wake up tomorrow, would you take it? Obviously, my answer is going to be no. So, it
Right.
sounds something cliche and simple, but Sometimes the money's not the only thing. But to answer
Right.
your question, if I had $1 million tomorrow, I'd be looking at assets and opportunities that I could leverage into with that capital.
Yep.
But being smart with it, it's like the question: if you won the lottery, what would you do? Um,
Mm-hmm.
you don't want to just spend it on yourself. And I've
Yep.
gone through that stage in my life when I was younger of buying personal materialistic things, and now my brain's been so wired to invest,
Yeah.
and look at opportunities.
Yep.
That's what I would do.
Yep.
Maybe take a vacation.
Absolutely. Yeah. There's some benefits from there as well in the growth and learning, but you're
Yeah,
right that your mindset has shifted, so that investment and seeing that future growth, I think, is the key, rather than blowing it on immediate immediate things that aren't necessarily needs, but
right.
or that don't have the growth and assets. So thank you for your time today, John. Now, if anybody wants to reach out to you, what's the best way for them to connect with you?
Yeah, they can always reach out to me through my website, which is
Okay.
franceconstellations.com.
Okay.
Otherwise, through my email, which is Jon, Jon, no H, at jfranceco.com. So
Okay. Keep it simple. Drop the H. You don't stay it anyway. So
I don't. No.
very good, John. I appreciate that.
Thanks,
Well,
Zach.
thank you for your time today, and I wish you the best in your continued venture as you continue to map the constellations out amongst the stars.
I appreciate it. Take care.